So, good evening, friends. Another important topic. Since these talks are in continuity, there is bound to be repetition. These words he used in 1985. And these words are not very different than what he used for 70 years. So, just before 1 year before he died, I thought what all important he has to say at the fag end. So this is the third talk, and these words are there as printed words. So if we have not worked with ourselves using these words as JK, we have used JK as mirror, then they will look repetition of the same word, same words. Because invariably I see people talking that it's all repetition, it is the same thing, as if we know, but we are changing all the time. And he is asking us to see ourselves, what is happening to each one of us. So very interesting that way. It is very interesting. The words are same, but going beyond words is absolutely your responsibility or my responsibility. So I'll start. It's little, as usual, it is lengthy, although I have tried to keep only what I think is the most important message. So the subtitle is Sorrow is Part of Your Self-Interest. The title itself tells everything. Sorrow is part of your self-interest, part of your egotistic, self-centered activity. Now, he starts repeating these things. We were talking last week about a holistic life, a way of living that is not fragmented, not broken up as our lives are. We went into the question fairly deeply. We saw what the causes of this fragmentation were, the various factors in our social, moral, religious life that have broken us up as Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, and so on. Religions have been greatly responsible for this catastrophe. We also talked about time being the past, all the memories, the accumulated experiences, and so on, modified by the present and continuing in the future. During that long period of so-called evolution, we have accumulated enormous memory. We also talked about the limitation of memory and thought, and about how that limitation has broken up the world geographically, nationally, and religiously. We are going to talk over together about order and disorder, pleasure, love, sorrow, and death. These are all rather complicated problems which we all have to face in our daily lives, whether we are rich or poor. Our lives, our daily lives are in disorder, which means contradiction, saying one thing and doing another, believing in something but actually moving in a direction totally different from what we believe. We want order. Because without order, human beings will inevitably destroy themselves. Society is brought about by us. It is put together by us, by our greed, our ambition, our envy, and the concept of individual freedom. This sense of individuality has brought about a great deal of disorder. So we must find out what is order. Not a blueprint, not a blueprint, not something we put into a framework and follow. You see, order is something that is active. Friends, just listen to this very carefully. Order is something that is active, living. It does not conform to a pattern. Whether the pattern be idealistic, historical, or dialectical conclusions, or religious sanctions. What is order? Is it possible to find out what is order? When our brains are confused and disorderly, so we must first find out what is disorder, not what is order, because this is something like, I'm putting my words, something like, if you don't attentively see your suffering, suffering is disorder. So we have to see disorder first. We have to be very clear about our sufferings, because when there is no disorder, there will naturally be order, right? One of the causes of this disorder, perhaps the major cause, is conflict. Where there is conflict, not only between man and woman, but also between nations, between religious beliefs and faiths, there must be disorder. Another major cause of disorder is this concept, this illusion that we are all individuals. As we said in the previous talks, you must question, doubt what the speaker is saying. Do not accept anything from anybody, but question, investigate, and not resist. Why not resist? Because that self resists, ego resists. If you merely resist what is being said, which may be true or false, then our conversation comes to an end. When two people are talking over together their problems, and if one is resisting, then conversation ends. So we must go into the question whether we live in this illusion that we are all separate individuals. The communist theory, as most of you perhaps know, is that we are the result of the environment. And so, if we change the environment, human beings will change. This is altogether absurd, as the Russian totalitarianism has shown very clearly. The dominance of the few, the control of thinking, and so on have not brought about the end of individuality as was hoped. On the contrary, so this is one of the major causes of disorder in our lives. Each one thinking he is free. Each one thinking of his own fulfillment, his own desires, his own ambitions, his own private pleasures. We are going to find out whether individuality is a fact or a long established, respectable illusion. See, long established, respectable illusion. It is foolish to say, I agree with you or I disagree with you. Our consciousness is the result of million years or more. It contains all the animalistic primitive essence as we have come from the animal, from nature. Deep down in our consciousness, we find that there are still the deep responses of the animals, the fears, and the desire for security. All that is part of our consciousness. Our consciousness also contains innumerable beliefs, faiths, reactions, actions, various memories, fear, pleasure, sorrow, and the search for complete security. All that is what we are. We may think part of us is divine, but that is also part of our thinking. All that consciousness we think belongs to each one of us, right? Religion, Christianity, Hinduism, and others have maintained that we are separate souls. Now, we are questioning the whole of it. Do you not share the sorrow of the rest of human beings? Human beings throughout the world have various forms of fear, various forms of pleasure. They suffer as you suffer. They pray, they do all kinds of absurd ceremonies as you do, seeking stimulation, sensation through ceremonies as you do. So you share the consciousness of all humanity. You are the entire humanity. First, see it logically. Every human being on this earth, whatever be his religion or belief, suffers. Every human being suffers deeply or superficially and tries to evade suffering. So, this consciousness, which we have considered mine, this personal consciousness is not a fact. Because all human beings living on this marvelous, beautiful earth, which we are carefully destroying, go through the same problems, the same pain, anxiety, loneliness, depression, tears, laughter, contradiction, and conflict between man and woman, husband and wife. So, in your consciousness, are you individuals? Whatever you think or imagine, whatever your tendencies, aptitudes, talents, or gifts, all that is shared by all human beings who are exactly as you are, similar to you. This is logical fact. And logic has a certain place. One must think clearly, logically, reasonably, sanely. But logic is based on thought. However, logical one may be, thought is limited, thought may be reasonable, but it is limited. So one must go beyond thought, beyond the limitation of reason and logic. When you realize that you are the entire humanity, that is what love is. Then you will not kill another. You will not harm another. You will move out of all aggression, violence, and the brutality of religions. So our consciousness is one with all humanity. You don't see the beauty of it, the immensity of it. You will go back to your own pattern, thinking that you are all individuals, fighting, striving, competing, each trying to fulfill fulfill your own beastly little self. Yes, sir, this means nothing to you. You will go back to your own way of life. So, we must also talk over together why man perpetually seeks pleasure. Pleasure in possession, pleasure in achievement, pleasure in power, pleasure in having a status. There is sexual pleasure, which is maintained by constant thinking about sex, imagining, picturing, making images. That is, thought gives pleasure, sensation is turned into pleasure. So, we must understand what pleasure is and why we seek it. We are not saying it is right or wrong. We are not condemning pleasure, as we are not condemning desire. Desire is part of pleasure. The fulfillment of desire is the very nature of pleasure. Desire may be the cause of disorder, each one wanting to fulfill his own particular desire. So, together we are going to investigate whether desire is one of the major causes of disorder. We must explore desire, not condemn it, not escape from it, not try to suppress it. Most religions have said suppress desires, which is absurd. So let us look at it. What is desire? Put that question to yourself. Probably most of us have not thought about it at all. We have accepted it as a way of life, as the natural instinct of man or a woman. So we say, why bother about it? Those people who have renounced the world, those who have entered monasteries and so on, try to sublimate their desires in the worship of a symbol or a person. Please bear in mind that we are not condemning desire. We are trying to find out what is desire, why man has for millions of years been caught not only physically but also psychologically in the trap of desire, in the network of desire. Are you investigating with the speaker? Or are you just listening to him while he explores or explains? You know, it is easy to be caught in explanations, in descriptions, and we are satisfied with the commentaries, descriptions, and explanations. We are not doing this here. I have to explain, describe, point out, put it in the framework of words, but you have to go into it too. You have to go into it too and not just say, yes, I agree or I disagree. You have to find out the nature of desire, its construction, how it is put together, and what its origin is. The speaker will describe, not analyze. There is a difference between analysis and perception. Analysis implies the analyzer and the thing to be analyzed, which means the analyzer is different from the analyzed. But are they different? Suppose I am the analyzer and I'm envious. I begin to analyze why I'm envious, as though I am different from envy. But envy is me. It is not separate from me. Greed, competition, comparison, all that is me. So we are not analyzing, we are looking, hearing, and learning. Learning is not merely accumulating memory. That is necessary, but learning is something entirely different. It is not an accumulative process. In learning, you are moving fresh. never recording. So we are observing desire, its origin, and why human beings are caught in it endlessly. If you have a little money, you want more. If you have a little power, you want more. And power in any form, whether it be over your wife or your children, or political or religious power, is an abominable thing. It is evil because it has nothing to do with truth. So, what is the origin of desire? We live by sensation. If there was no sensation biologically and psychologically, we would be dead human beings, right? The cawing of the crow is acting on the eardrums and nerves, and the noise is translated as the cry of a crow. That is sensation. Sensation is brought about by hearing or seeing and then contact. You see a garden beautifully kept. The green is rich, perfect, and there are no weeds in it. It is a lovely thing to watch. There is the seeing. Then, if you are sensitive, you go and touch the grass. That is seeing, contact, and then sensation. We live by sensation. It is necessary. If you are not sensitive, you are dull. You are half alive, as most of us are. Take a very simple example. You see a nice sari or a shirt in a shop. You see it, you go inside and touch it. Then there is the sensation of touching it, and you say, by Joe, what lovely material that is. Then what takes place after that? Are you waiting for me to tell you? Please do listen to this. If you see this for yourself and not be told by another, then you become the teacher and the disciple. But if you repeat, repeat what somebody, including the speaker, has said, you remain mediocre, thoughtless, repetitive. So let's go into it. You see a brush, the polish, see its shape and texture. Out of that, there is sensation. Then thought comes and says, how nice it would be if I got it. How nice it would be if I got into it and drove off. So desire is born when thought gives a shape, an image to sensation. Now, sensation is the way of existence. It is part of existence. But you have learned to suppress, conquer, or live with desire with all its problems. Now, if you understand this, not intellectually, but actually, that when thought gives shape to sensation, at that second, desire is born. Then the question arises, is it possible to see and touch the car, which is sensation, but not let thought create the image? So keep a gap. Do you understand this? You see, one must also find out what is discipline because it is related to desire. The word discipline comes from the word disciple. The etymological meaning of that word is one who is learning. A disciple is one who is learning and not conforming, not controlling, not suppressing, not obeying, not following. On the contrary, he is learning from observation. So you are learning about desire. Learning about it is not memorizing. But if you are learning, then that very learning becomes its own order. So you don't need order imposed by law or anything else. So learn, find out whether it is possible to allow sensation to flower and to not let thought interfere with it, to keep them apart. We also ought to talk over together love, sorrow, and death. Please, all this is much too serious as it affects your daily life. This is not something you play. This is not something you play with intellectually. It concerns your life, not somebody else's life. The way you live after all these million years, look what your lives are. How empty, shallow, violent, brutal, inconsiderate, thoughtless. Look at it. All this has created such havoc in the world. You all want to have high positions, achieve something, becomes something. Seeing all this, there is great sorrow, isn't there? Every human being in this world, whether he is highly placed or is just an ignorant villager, goes through great sorrow. He may not recognize the nature and the beauty and the strength of sorrow, but he goes through pain like you do. Human beings have gone through sorrow for a million years. They haven't solved the problem. They want to escape from it. And what is the relationship of sorrow to love and death? Can there be an end to sorrow? This has been one of the questions mankind has asked for a million years. Sorrow is not only your own particular sorrow, there is also the sorrow of mankind. Historically, there have been 5,000 years of war. That means every year some people kill others for the sake of their tribe, their religion, their nation, their community, their individual protection, and so on. Without ending sorrow, there is no love. Sorrow is part of your self interest, part of your egotistic, self centered activity. You cry for another, for your son, for your brother, for your mother. Why? Because you have lost something that you are attached to, something which gave you companionship, comfort, and all the rest of it. With the ending of that person, you realize how utterly empty, how lonely your life is. Then you cry, and there are many, many people ready to comfort you, and you slip very easily into that network, that trap of comfort. There is the comfort in God, which is an image put together by thought, or comfort in some illusory concept or idea. That's all you want, but you never question the very urge, the desire for comfort. Never ask whether there is any comfort at all. God has been invented by man out of his fear, loneliness, despair, and the search for everlasting comfort. So never ask whether there is comfort at all, which is deep, abiding satisfaction. You all want to be satisfied not only with the food that you eat, but also satisfied sexually or by achieving some position of authority and having comfort in that position. So let us ask whether there is any comfort at all. If there is no fear, do you want comfort? Comfort is another form of pleasure. So, this is a very complex problem of our life. Why we are so shallow, empty, filled with other people's knowledge and with books. Why we are not independent, free human beings to find out why. Why we are slaves. So, we will go tomorrow into the question of what is religious life and whether there is something that is totally sacred, holy, something not invented by thought. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you for this listening. And I hope we all are in it totally with ourselves, totally with it, and what see this mirror in your individual way, which you are not. So we have to. This is very pretty clear. Actually, there is nothing. All of us know that these are facts. All of us know. I believe. I believe, and I can virtually. I'm very sure. All of us, know that what is being talked is is truth. But why do we live a different life? That is individual's question. If you think you are an individual, it's individual's question. If you are not living it, why? Thank you, friends. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Verma ji. Harshad sir. Please unmute.
Okay. Is about, and even Buddha has said that there is a cause for sorrow, there is the understanding of sorrow, and there is the freedom.
It's not audible, Kamlesh.
Harshad sir, please unmute yourself.
Yes. Are you able to hear?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will stop my video. Are you able to hear?
Yes, sir. We are able to hear you.
Yes. Okay, so I was saying that Buddha had also spoken about sorrow or suffering, and he had said that there is a cause for it, and there is an understanding or seeing it, and there is a freedom from it. This is called Four Noble Truths, and Krishna ji is also in this talk. He is talking about sorrow, and Krishna ji uses the word self. And this word self, it means ego. And this ego in Krishnamurti's teaching is created by thinking. And this thing comes because we have learned language and we have the starts between thinker and thought. So this basic idea which Krishna ji is giving, that if we can see clearly how is thinking arises to a different dimension, which and
Not audible.
Harshad sir, you are not audible. Please unmute yourself.
okay, are you able to hear now?
Yes.
Okay, so as long as this awareness, which can see thinking clearly, as it is arising, as long as that ongoing effortless awareness is not awakened, thinking will, out of thinking will come the thinker, and then the thinker will try to change thought. There will be a duality and there will be this conflict, and that conflict is the cause of sorrow, suffering. So, it seems to me that this sorrow will exist as long as we are not able to see the the arising of thinking and feeling. And Krishnamurti's teachings are about awakening of awareness, and that can happen in some human beings when they are deeply, passionately can look at their own thinking. They are very curious, not afraid, not reading Krishnamurti and thinking about what Krishnamurti is saying and trying to understand Krishnamurti. That doesn't help. That will create even more problems. So one has to forget even Krishnamurti and be very, very intensely look inward and see the beginning of a thought. And maybe if a person, if it happens, even the thought can stop. And at that time, there will be a different dimension to our living. We can really feel the beauty of silence, and in that there is no suffering. But then that it will go away, and then again we are back into thinking and so on. So one has to experiment every day and not give it up, and maybe then there is a possibility of ongoing effortless awareness coming. And then we can see the beginning of anger or fear or jealousy or loneliness or boredom. And then our problem is solved. Then we don't need to read anything. We don't need to depend on Krishnamurti's words because we can see clearly how our mind works. Okay, I think I have finished. Thank you.
Anybody else wants to say? D Murthy sir.
Good evening, friends. Okay, I will put my video also. Good evening to all. This is again a very important aspect that Krishnaji brought out in this talk in Bombay just 1 year before his end has come in February 2008, 1986. This talk is given on 9th February 1985. He's talking of sorrow and the self-centered activity. One thing we have to understand, there are two faculties in the human consciousness. One faculty is the faculty of thinking, of which we are very much aware. Other faculty is the faculty of awareness. Awareness is actually observation without condemnation, justification, or identification. These two faculties are there, but humanity has forgotten this faculty of awareness because they were mesmerized by the progress made by thinking in the technological and physical world and the great progress made by humanity in that world. A great sage like Krishnaji came and told us that there's another faculty available to humanity which we are not using. We have simply forgotten about that. So the important fact here is, we have discussed earlier also, the faculty of thought, it belongs to the external world, that is the physical and technological world, where it has done tremendous progress. and we are all benefited because of that. But the same thought, when it entered the inner world, the world of the psychological world, it doesn't belong there, and it has created havoc there. Thought, because it is fragmentary, it is divisive, it cannot understand what is happening in the psychological world, and it is in the wrong place. It is like a square peg uh, uh, in a round hole, so it will not fit there. Because of its divisive nature, the psychological field is a unitary field. It cannot be divided. It is whole. But thought cannot understand something whole. The very division of thought, the movement of thought is a division and contradiction. So in the video also, Krishnaji was nicely mentioning the whole problem comes with division and contradiction. Contradiction means conflict. Conflict means loss of energy, and also you lose clarity. You get confused. All these things are there. So can we put thought in its right place? But again, that is counterproductive. Can one thought put another thought in its right place? See, the thought that is trying to put other thought is also a thought, is a fragment. So that's not going to help at all. And in fact, there also the controller is the controlled. One thought is trying to control the other thought. That will not help at all. Only a state of observation and understanding, in a state of awareness and attention in the psychological field is required. Our Professor Krishna, once while talking, he gave a very nice example discussing on these matters. Can you use thought as a screwdriver? You need a screwdriver. You go to the toolbox, get the screwdriver, fix it up. Whatever nut is loose, you tighten it, and put it back in the screwdriver in the toolbox. But you need not carry it in your pocket all the time, unless you are an electrician or you are a carpenter. So that is the position we have to take. Thought has a place, but in the psychological field, it has no place. That we have to clearly understand. And to understand psychological matters, you have to see it in a holistic manner, which means you have to have observation. Observation leading to awareness and staying in that state of choiceless awareness. Again, awareness also, if choice is there, that means the self is operating. So that becomes counterproductive. I like this, I don't like this. Because awareness has no content. It simply observes everything. That we are not doing. That's why all these problems are coming. And also Krishnaji in this particular video discussed at length about the contradictions. See, he talks of disorder. If you have a blueprint of what is order and try to get that order, you will never succeed. But what is in you at this moment, that is the disorder, you stay with the disorder, try to understand the disorder, and through that understanding, if you can eliminate the disorder, order is already there. And that we are not doing. That is the whole problem with the humanity. Krishnaji also tells number of times, test it out. Somebody in our group only sometimes back, he has given a presentation about 500 talks given by Krishnaji. In about 150 talks, he used the word test it out. So the application, we are listening, we are talking, verbally we are understanding, intellectual understanding, but we are not implementing it. We are not testing it out. Likewise, in many times he says, are you with me? Are you traveling with me? Do you understand what I am saying? Like that, he wanted to carry people with him, but we are stopping at the intellectual level. This is the whole problem. So, uh, a lot of homework has to be done by all of us. We are listening to a lot of videos, we are listening to a lot of talks, we are also talking quite a lot, but unless we implement it and go into the practical aspect of what Krishnaji is pointing out, things will not be good at all. Likewise, starting with our psychological disorders, that is the starting point. You see, consciousness is what you are, that it is like your house. If there is a disorder in that consciousness, you have to understand that disorder, stay with it without interfering in a state of attention, and you should be able to eliminate the disorder. You should allow the disorder to flower and wither away. Like, for example, you talk of anger. Everybody got some degree of anger in him, every human being. That's why psychologically we are all one. That is what Krishnaji is also telling. But the anger in human psyche is a million-year-old process. The ancient man also was angry, and the modern man also is angry. We may be 70 years, 80 years, 100 years, but the anger in me, the jealousy in me, the fear in me are millions of years old. And another important thing is they are living things. The anger in me is a living thing. And every living thing would like to extend its life as long as possible. So it is not easy to get rid of we may die 70 years, 80 years, 100 years and all, people will die, but the anger will continue in the human psyche, in the psyche, which is a psychological disorder. So Krishnaji is telling, when you are able to eliminate the psychological disorder, that itself is order. It is a living thing. It is not a blueprint. It is not a system. It is not a method. That kind of order is nothing but virtue, and it is nothing but love. So we have not reached the state. That's the whole problem. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Prasad sir. Prasad sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Namaste, sir. Today's topic, the title is Without Ending Sorrow, There is No Love. Without ending sorrow, there is no love. And then this sorrow is part of your self-interest, part of your egotistic, self-centered activity. So this sorrow, egotistic and self-centered activity, they are we are concerned with these topics or subjects: sorrow and self-interest and egotistic and the self-centered activity. Activity is of two types. One is activity, the other is action. Activity is egotistic and self-centered. That is, we have to understand our actions, whether they are actions which are warranted by circumstances and situation, or whether it is simply egotistic activity trying to find self-fulfillment, fulfillment. That is what we have to distinguish. And this self-centered activity is also emanates from your self-interest. Ultimately, it is basically the self. It is the self that is the cause of this sorrow. Sorrow is part of your self-interest. So, what we have to see is that we are indulging in a lot of activity, but mostly that is out of our self-interest. That is why we are restless, we have no time, we are the slaves of time, and particularly modern civilization is so much riddled with restlessness. We have no, Krishnaji somewhere says, the ancient civilization, particularly the Brahmins, etc., some of them, they had this peace of mind. Tradition had that quality of peace. Now we are losing it, we have lost it. From 40, 50 years, you struggle in an office, lost in accumulation, always trying to acquire something, either in terms of money or in terms of reputation. You want to have some fulfillment, want to have some marks on time, without realizing that life doesn't care for any particular individual. It moves on and it has no concern for anybody, even big leaders. Actually, I think Krishnaji himself referred to that poem, Ozymandias of Egypt by Shelley. It is the statue of a big emperor, an emperor who ruled the world, and that is lying in a desert sand. And the sculptor described, he caught that curve of the lip, the curve of pride, the lip, which was quite indicative of his pride and all that. So like that, we don't realize that transients in life and all that. So that type of sorrow is part of that self-interest, your egotistic activity. Egotistic and self-centered activity. You are always self-centered. You bother only about yourself. We talk about family, but not even about family. Because Krishnaji says, if you love your children, you claim to be loving your children. At least, if you love your children, you won't allow them to join the army and fight, realizing the risk of war, and that when you join the army, you are risking your life unnecessarily, just to kill others. There is nothing noble about that type of activity, that type of discipline, iron discipline, You have no freedom. And Krishnaji is about freedom. And his pledge itself was to make man unconditionally free. He sees all these things and he gets a lot of sorrow from that. That he feels pain. That is not sorrow, actually it is pain, seeing the world around him. So anyway, so sorrow is part of that self-centered activity. without ending sorrow, there is no love. So long as you are caught in sorrow, I lose my dear one, whoever it is. And so long as I am caught in that sorrow, there is no love. And he has also, our Dakshinamurti Sahib has indicated all those things, talking about disorder, the disorder in our life. And what is the cause of that disorder? Disorder is because there is a false sense of individuality. We all think we are individuals. From birth to death, society makes us think we are individuals. Society makes us think means we contribute for that type of impression that we are all individuals. And the entire legal system is based on individuality, because the entire civil code is a protection of your individualistic rights. So the entire social structure is based on individuality. That is the cause of disorder. Because once you think you are an individual, you fight for your rights. You think of only your rights. You have no sense of responsibility for the larger whole, larger society. So individuality is an illusion. It is not real. It is an illusion thrust on you by the society, by the legal structure in which we live. So, without ending sorrow, so long as you are caught in sorrow, because of your sense of individuality and all that, there is no love. So long as there is so long as there is sorrow, there is only sorrow. How can there be love? Love has to go out and reach out to others. No, there is no love. If I have love, I have to stop, because I must have concern for your time, your patience. So I stop, sir. Thank you.
Is my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, your voice is coming, but it is slightly low.
Okay. It was in this talk an interesting point about desire. And I would like Pradeepji to say something about it, how he understands it, this question of desire and pleasure, because this is one of the aspects of disorder. So can Pradeepji talk about a little bit more about it? Thank you.
Pradeepji.
He wants, Shakti ji wants my particular point of view
Sir,
to say
I
something.
want that your video should be on.
Is it
Your
audible?
video should be on. Video.
Okay. This has become
Mandatory.
you only asked me to show videos.
Yes.
This is a desire.
Definitely.
Shakti ji is talking about desire. This is that desire, and that creates a sort of activity within a group. It does. So I don't think because हजार वो क्या है वो पुरानी हम्म, हम्म, desire. I don't think it's a matter of. These are all highly connected things: sensitivity, sensation, thought. He has clearly talked about it: the sequence, awareness, then sensitive to a particular thing, and then sensation, and then thought about it. How do you feel? How that being feels in that sensation. So as long as desire is there, the whole energy is diverted towards something specific out of the whole. When you're looking for specific in the whole, you have limited yourself to that peak, if you I may say. So it's a question of, it's a flow of energy at my command, and where it goes, because it is limited to all of us. Energy is limited, and slowly the body dies out, and it's no longer able to get energy even from the uh, environment. So desire, sensation, these are highly connected. To me, sensitivity, sensation, thoughts, words, verbal expression of elation and suffering. So this is a part of the being which we are, psychosomatic organism we are. I don't know what exactly is the question Shakti ji is asking about this. It is so pretty clear in all of us. I don't think there is any question about this, that in our daily life, what happens, small desires. If a particular thing is missing in my breakfast, it is missing in the breakfast. Time and everything is there. Time is also there. This is the time for the breakfast. And something is missing and not, then what happens to me? Now, if you aftermath is when you divide it into this and that and sensation and hunger and all that, these words will naturally come. But what happens to me if I am used to a particular thing for my breakfast at a particular time? Then what happens to me? Of course, this varies from man to man. We may say that we are not individual, but the way habitually we live a individual life, and that too in a very time scale. We have divided ourselves, our lives, into years and this and that and hours and everything. So whether is it a good, is it a good feeling? You start feeling something is missing in you already. Something, you patched it up with that particular thing, and it is working for you. It may not work for long, but ultimately, if that is not available, this is a desire. We desire the whole day. We desire something or the other, whether it's biological. Again, when we divide biological, physical, and psychological, again the person who is dividing it is there very much asking for conflict. So we have to be very clear with ourselves, partly individual, dependent on collective totally, getting from collective, making your own comfort zone, So there is nothing, there is no question. I think I don't know whether Shakti ji will make it clear what the question is. What exactly is the question which is not able to understand about desire and what it does to different people with different conditionings. If it is clear, then I'll put little bit of on that. Of course, he is living in a different environment than he is living. He has lived his life with particular teachings and all that, and friends of different types, and everything is there. But about this desire and sensation, what is the real question? I could not get it. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
sir.
But let him say something.
Yeah.
Shakti ji,
You
please.
see, it's because Buddha connects craving with
Oh,
sorrow.
oh, craving is as craving is
Yes.
also, it is third degree of
Yeah.
desire. You are
Yeah. Yeah.
craving for it virtually as if
Yeah.
you are going to die without that. हजारों तो
Yeah.
क्या है वो कि हर
हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले. हजार.
एग्जैक्टली. तो हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले. बहुत निकले
Yeah.
मेरे अरमा, लेकिन फिर भी कम निकले. So this is realized by few people,
Yeah.
very few people, that this is a ongoing process. Now, how much you are attached to that, how much you are for it, it's up to you whether you want freedom or you want every time pasta, a particular particular flavor or taste. So I have to see it whether I want to be in that groove, in that maze. It is up to, I can see it, everybody can see it, I think, but somehow that appears to be comfortable. Give me somewhere it must be that old packet, you see that there may be one piece there. So ultimately this leads to a sort of uneasiness in each one of us, and they're all related. So when we try to understand separating them, separating psychology, physiology, sensation, contact, and thought, arising of thought, awareness, then choiceless awareness, these words have done lot of damage also to me, because we love words. And words are very powerful. If you see, Urdu is a very powerful language, very powerful. I don't know whether people have, it's a very powerful language. That's why initially legal language was all Urdu, because they invaded and they were the rulers also. But the words have their, that, as Krishnamurti talked about it, sound has its own value. Sound is very powerful. Sound is very powerful, and that's why some people can use this, they do use it rather, this sound, to control others. Even now politicians do it. You see, all of them, a number of them who understand the power of sound, even religious people, the rituals, everything is what? Sound, Om, and all that, everything. I'm not saying that it is good or bad, because even for regulating your physiology, each one of us, it has a role. Although they might have talked about chakras, Mooladhar to Sahasrar, but if you give enough attention to your body, it talks to you, every organ talks to you, everything talks to you. And if you listen to that carefully, you are out of those problems. I have done it, I do it, I regularly. Pranic healing, what is pranic healing? Everything you can see, everything you can feel, rather, not see. You can feel it. And feeling is a little different than seeing and all that. Feeling is a subtle part of, uh, it tells you more about non-verbal things. So this is all but we have to see, are we fragmenting it? Am I fragmenting it into different words? If I am doing it, then I am doing a great disservice to myself. Because this is not a class where you have to give a text to students. This is not a class. This is life is my class is my life in daily life. I have to learn moment to moment. Learning is not static. Everything he has talked about all these things in details, provided we don't separate when he is talking ourselves. Thank you, Shakti ji, for giving me this.
Shakti ji,
Mhm.
you want to say
Said
something
that
more or?
I understand a little bit more, because this is one of the main problems. Because the moment the wish becomes desire and then desire becomes craving, then the sorrow seems inevitable. So that the awareness of a wish arising, that is very important. Thank you, Pradeep ji. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. May I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would like to say that we can explain everything like Krishna ji is explaining through logic, step by step, what is involved in desire, like seeing something, sensation, contact, and the coming of this sense of I want it, and all that Krishna ji is explaining through logic. But it seems to me that the logic cannot lead to clarity and freedom. But from freedom and clarity, logic can come. So that is the difficulty, that we are understanding verbally everything logically, but that is not enough. We need to really be silent and observe things. And other thing is that Krishnaji says that you must doubt everybody, even Krishnamurti. And I doubt Krishnamurti when he says something about never recording. Is it possible never to record? That I doubt, because for that we don't have the power not to record. So that is, and other thing is thought is limited. It means that when there is no thought, maybe there is a silence which is unlimited, but that silence unlimited, but it is temporary. So it doesn't solve the problem. Only when there is I would say, as I said before, that this ongoing awareness of thoughts and feelings, without that, thought and feelings can create problems. But thought and feelings do not create any problem when there is this seeing non-verbally, clearly, then thought and feeling can come and go. They don't create any problem. So this is all I want to make comment. Thank you.
Modak, please end it now. It is the last comment. Please end.
Thanks all.
Thank you, Kamlesh.